Welcome to the Scaling Japan podcast, a podcast about how to grow your business from $100,000 and beyond in the land of the rising sun.
Welcome to the Scaling Japan podcast. I'm your host, Tyson Batino, and on today's episode, we have Momoka Ebi. She is an account manager for Redhill Japan. And Redhill is a PR firm from Singapore that also has offices in 22 countries, primarily in Asia. And I met Momoka at a 500 Global event, and I thought it would be great to get someone from a global agency to talk about PR. And so it's very nice to have you, Momoka. And could you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Tyson. So first, thank you for having me today. My name is Momoka Ebi from Redhill Japan. And first, a brief self-introduction about myself. I joined this company, Redhill, in last July, and I'm currently in charge of around 4 clients while handling sales, like human resources and marketing for expansion of the Japan office. And then prior to this, I worked for a Japanese PR agency and a social media marketing agency.
Cool. And could you tell us a little bit more about Redhill?
Sure. Redhill is, as you said, the PR agency, and then it is a Singapore-based PR agency. And we have grown rapidly since its founding in 2014. And then we have 22 offices in Asian countries.
Cool. And how do you help companies in Japan?
For Japan team, we're currently doing the PR for foreign companies who is in Japan, including PR when they are enter the Japanese market. And also, we handle PR for Japanese companies in other countries.
Cool. And what type of clients do you have?
The clients come from a variety of industries, some B2C and some B2B. And although most of our clients are from Asia, but we have recently been working with more and more companies in the Middle East, especially those in Dubai.
Yeah, there's a lot of action in Saudi Arabia and Dubai right now.
Yes, true.
And I was thinking, for myself personally, I have a pretty good knowledge of Japan. Probably I'll do one more year to even deepen my network in Japan. But after that, I might consider, let's say, learning 2 countries, Japan and another country, and the Middle East might be one area that I look at.
Oh,
Cool. So let's dive into PR. And so I think the first questioners the listeners might have is, what actually is PR?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And so many people ask us this question. So my view is to actively work to create a positive image for all stakeholders, we say. So many people think PR activity is like activities to have a media interview and write article about them. However, I see this as a part of the process. So of course, like it is very important to deliver message to the consumers through the media. However, like as a company, we need to make a sales. However, like I also believe that communication with the business partners, shareholders, and some like sometimes competitors is also essential for a company to survive.
Gotcha. So so marketing can be maybe focused more towards like the customer. Recruitment can be focused maybe just towards the applicants, but PR is pretty much, it is a really comprehensive view of
True,
the
yes.
view of the company. Is that what you would say?
Yes.
Excellent. Cool. So I think now we have kind of an idea of what PR is and kind of a view of how it's a little bit different than marketing. But could you talk a little bit deeper about the differences between PR and marketing?
Yes. That's a kind of difficult question.
Yeah, because there's some
Yeah.
there's areas that are different and there's areas that are overlapping.
Yes, true,
And
true.
so I think that's why everyone gets it confused. But
Yeah, totally understand. And then I will say like I believe there is no difference between the two in terms of the goal of the activities to finally get the people to choose their products. And then the only difference is like how KPIs are set and then approached in this process. So, when it comes to discussing marketing first, marketing typically tracks KPIs such as the direct number of items sold and it increases in the revenue. However, in PR, so many companies also set KPIs based on recent survey results regarding the good impression and also awareness so of their products or brands. So in such cases, like they track metrics like what percentage of population knows about the product and
ah,
like yeah, what percentage intend to purchase it. So something like that.
gotcha. So it's really thinking about the future,
Yes, I
like
think
the long
so.
term. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because I think performance marketing is a lot about the now,
Mhm.
but yeah, for PR, yeah, it makes sense. Like, I mean, if your goal is to increase revenue long term, getting market share,
Yes,
especially a dominant market share, is very important. Gotcha. And
true.
so, gotcha. No, I think it makes sense because it's the marketing or the performance might not be there yet,
Yes,
but it
yes,
gives them an idea of maybe why it's not performing.
yes.
Cool. No, thanks. Any other thoughts on maybe PR and marketing?
Um, yeah, no, like you covered all, I think. Just like which point we will like monitor. That is the just the differences between PR and marketing. So, yeah, the goal is the same, I think.
Gotcha. Okay. And so I think we've heard some of the benefits, but I'll let you talk a little bit more. It's how can doing PR be beneficial for a business in Japan?
Mhm. So I think PR has a great power. So I will raise one example. If we take Kit Kat, do you know Kit Kat, the snack
Oh
chocolates?
yes.
Yeah,
Big success case in Japan.
yes, big successful case in Japan, and then sure, like the campaign, like Kit Kats, is there is a word in Japanese, a kittokatsu, which sounds like a sure to win. And then it became associated with the sending good luck to students taking exams. So this phenomenon is also the result of the PR strategy. So I understand, of course, like because it delicious taste. So that's why they have become popular. But like at the same time, this kind of PL project has been made. Then like we pushed to be famous in Japan market, even the brand
Ah,
came from Poland company.
gotcha. So it's yeah, although I think yeah, it makes sense. The strategy was how to get their name out
Mm-hmm.
maybe as fast as possible.
Yes.
And yeah, that makes sense too, because by possibly doing that,
Mm-hmm.
they might be able to get distributors more easily.
Yes, true. Like rather than like just simply sending one-way messages, companies can like naturally integrate their products or message into like society by tapping into existing cultures, like belief, and then like sometimes in even social issues.
Cool. Any other ways that PR can benefit a business in Japan, or maybe if you have another case study.
Ah, yes, I brought the one case which has done by the following company, actually from a Western company. So, um, I think I can share the IKEA's project. And IKEA's like example was when IKEA first entered to the Japan market, it held a public exhibition called the 4.5 Tatami Museum. And yeah, that sounds funny, right?
Sounds pretty. This is the
Yeah,
first time I heard about it, but it sounds funny.
yeah. So like which was like about 10 room with the various themes were exhibited, and then all the furniture then was made by IKEA. So in Japan, like tatami is a traditional floor covering, and then piece of tatami generally measures about 1 meter by 2 meters. So 4.5 tatami museum means like not the large of a space. However, like through the exhibition, like they showed that even 4 point tatami mats can be used to coordinate room in a wonderful way, and that they can be realized with IKEA. So I think that is one of the good example.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that is very interesting. And so
Mhm.
they actually put their furniture in tatami rooms.
Yes, true.
That's really clever.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I can no, yeah, no, that's pretty cool. And I think we'll probably talk more about like PR firms and how they can help later, but I guess them having the connections to media, them having the connections to maybe physical places they could do such a campaign.
Mhm.
I guess the market research, the knowledge of the industry, it would be something that might be typically hard for a marketing agency to do because they might not have the connections like a PR agency.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a good point, I think. Yeah.
And next, I want to dive a little bit more into the cultural nuances in Japanese PR, or just how it relates more to Japan. But I'm curious, how does Japanese culture affect PR or the way you do PR?
Yeah, that's a difficult point, I think. Japan culture are a bit more like strict than the other culture. So when we do the PR like measures, any measures, like um we should plan it all the things before we start. So I think it's like some foreign companies, when we work with some foreign companies, they say like, oh, let's try it. And then after that we can like review and then like try the other way. However, like Japanese culture is more well planned and then more strict. So Japanese people are tend to love to well organized everything. So I think in that like how can I say, being Japanese like
Mm,
our effect on PL field too. I think not only
gotcha.
for PL, but yeah.
No, I can see when I think about like let's say Japanese green tea or
Mm-hmm.
beer, at least
Mm-hmm.
when you see commercials or advertisement, they it's usually the same process, like
Yes.
this kind of same style theme. If it's like Pocari Sweat, it might be exercising outside,
Mm-hmm.
summertime.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they seem to follow a bit of a similar trend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Yeah, that's the, sometimes good, like sometimes like we should think about it again. Yeah.
And I think the other one I remembered too, like how Japanese culture
Mm-hmm.
affects PR is that in the West, sometimes you might have like critical or you might kind of like put
Oh,
something down but in Japan, you would never criticize.
wow,
It-
that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, like some people do, but
It's and in terms of at least PR, it's you try to not make enemies and you focus a lot on the positive,
Mhm.
but you wouldn't say like our competitor sucks.
Yeah.
Or like we're much better than like you would never hear I think like 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 in the US we have like Pepsi versus Coke, they do taste testing and everyone's like, oh, Coke
True.
is so much better than Pepsi. You would never see anything like that in Japan.
Yeah, that's true. I saw some peer cases in US, and then it was something like that. So like some like, let's say like Coca-Cola says like Pepsi is not good, something like that. But if we bring the peer idea into Japan, we never accept that kind of like expression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you do something that's more of a traditional product, you might use people who have more of a traditional image. If it's fun, you might use someone who's more like an influencer. So I think that part is probably similar. One of the common challenges I see with my consulting clients is not having any staff internally who can drive marketing strategy and execution to the next level. This really limits the growth trajectory of a company, especially for a leader like you that wants to go from 30 million to 500 million yen a year and does not have the time to spend years learning through trial and error. To solve this problem, I'm launching a marketing agency that can help companies like yours to increase leads and closing rates through SEO, Google Maps, content marketing, and websites that convert. Head over to scalingyourcompany.com and book a free consultation. Let's talk about what your business needs are, where your current strategy is letting you down, and how we can help you see real results with the methods I've successfully implemented at multiple companies myself. Now, back to the episode. And my next question is, in your experience or what you've seen, like what are some of the common pitfalls or mistakes that foreign companies make in doing their PR in Japan?
Yes, the biggest one is the localization barrier. So, as in case in other markets, the Japanese media give priority to what relevant to the Japanese market. So therefore, they're not really interested in attempts being made outside of Japan by following up foreign companies. So this is why it is important for foreign companies to have a peer person who understands Japanese market and also culture to implement measures that are appropriate for Japan, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely I have the same experience too, where they might have like foreign clients or Japanese clients. The foreign clients are more globally famous, but they might not be locally famous. And
True.
so they focus a lot. Oh, we have this people as our client. But it's like actually just it's better to just use even if it's like a let's say if you have a supermarket in this one prefecture, that's sometimes better than mentioning maybe a let's say a big chain outside of the U or outside of Japan. So I think that localization and it's just what Japanese people know versus what you know and are
Yes.
proud about.
Mhm.
And I think some other ones that I've heard of as well. It's more I'd say market entry, but could be for PR as well. Is that I think one is like they just focus on Tokyo,
Mhm.
and so and Tokyo is such a crowded market. Where if you could start your launch, maybe if it's food and beverage, they say that Fukuoka is pretty good for food and beverage.
Oh.
So you could launch your product, do your PR campaigns, maybe in not Tokyo,
Mhm.
get some steam, then with the help of the PR agency, get it to transition to maybe more in Tokyo. So when you launch in Tokyo, there will be some momentum before that happens. Or like maybe there might be some buzz on it already.
Ah.
But if you try to start from Tokyo, you're trying to climb the biggest wall.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. I think that makes sense. Yeah, starting with the other local city is one of the good way to like approach to the like nationwide.
And so I guess my next question is so what would you say is the impact of social media
Mhm.
on PR in Japan?
Yeah, in the area of social media, the value is definitely increasing every year. Compared to other countries like Japan, they still tend to have a strong like mass media influence. However, the influence of social media is also growing stronger every year. Most recently, the account of those who are called top influencers are so highly influential that they have a same level of influence as when airing on the popular TV programs, I think.
Yeah, and I've been seeing too, like on Japanese variety programs or talk shows,
Mhm.
like they'll have celebrities that I know of, then they'll have like two people that I've never heard of before, but under their profile they'll say like, oh, this person is a YouTube influencer or a TikTok influencer with 1 million followers, 50, or 100,000 followers. And so like I see that even in the mass media, they're bringing in these people from social media to expand their audience for their media reach.
That's a good point. Yes, that's true. So many like social like influences produced by the social media as are coming into the mass media market. True.
So yeah, I've seen, I think probably from around 3 years ago, maybe was kind of I think when I started seeing it more commonly, like, who is this person? Like I've never seen this person before.
I think that the 3 years ago is I think right, and then at a timing, TikTok are becoming very popular at a timing. So I think the beginning of the this movement was started with TikTok influencers, I think.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing that. Also, I'm kind of curious, like, what are some other, I guess, differences between maybe Japanese and Western media landscape?
I would like to ask this question to you because do you think when you hear the PR, like do you feel any like political context from the PR?
It's for me, Japan, I would say less.
Ah,
Like
okay.
for me, the US, I would assume PR is or I get the sense it's much stronger.
Mm, okay, yeah. The reason why I ask this is in Japan, PR means as sales promotion, we think always. So I thought there is a gap between like two countries, but like yeah, you say earlier, so you don't feel any too much political activity, then I think the image of the PR is bit similar. Also, I think that Japan has a slightly more closed off impression compared to other countries. And then I think Japan has its own set of rules for press conference or communication with the media. So, in addition, like while online media is probably the mainstream in other countries, however, in Japan, like the influence of media such as like magazines or newspaper, like as I said earlier, like mass media to remain strong.
Yeah, could you please elaborate more? But yes, I think our first point is I what you mentioned, I guess, matches what my experience has been in that when I think of PR in the US, it's either corporate PR or it's political PR. But when I think of Japan, like I just think of PR as more corporate was
Okay.
kind of my, or I don't hear too much talk about PR management, or maybe I'm watching the wrong TV programs, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't hear too much talks about like political PR.
Yeah.
Or maybe it exists, but they don't talk about it on TV as much. Like one example is like in the US case, like they have a speaker. So like they have press conference, they usually have a speaker, someone who speaks for the president. And you mentioned before that maybe more in the West, it's there's a really big or social media has a really big power, but in Japan, the traditional media is still very strong. But could you tell us more about that?
Yes, compared to the other market, I think in especially in Asia and like newspapers and TV broadcast are more like well established than the other countries. So that's why even so many social media and like online media are increasing and started to have a more influence than before. However, like still the mass media is one of the biggest media who has an influence. And then recently, like magazines or newspapers are started to like have an online site to publish their articles because no one will buy their printed articles. So like the mass media still has a strong influence. However, like the way to approach to the readers are changing from printed to online, I think.
Gotcha. So it is changing, but it's still very important to go through the traditional.
Yes, true.
Cool. And do you have maybe any insights with working with traditional Japanese media?
Um, yes. Since the traditional media are has a printed like magazine or newspaper, so there's a deadline to complete their articles. So if it is online, we can edit. Even like if there are any mistake, we can ask them to like edit, even it has been published. However, like if it is a like printed article, we cannot ask them to change. So we need to make sure everything is fine until that deadline. So I think that is the most important thing when we are approaching and having conversation with the journalists from any traditional media.
Gotcha. And could you maybe tell us a little bit about the role of press clubs or in
Yeah,
Japan?
that's a unique. It's said the role of Japanese press club has changed over time. And then one of the current role is to ensure equal access to information for the media. So this is also fair to companies in that it provides an opportunity to approach the media with whom they have no relationship yet.
Ah, so is that why sometimes you or do you have like the weekly Shukan sometime attend those press events press clubs as well? Does that happen in Japan? Like the weekly Shukan.
Weekly Shukan.
Like Shukan, like usually they publish the scandals.
Ah, um, yes.
Can they attend the press club events?
Yes, there is a conference room, and then if there is a huge crisis has happened, then some company can use the press conference room, and then every journalist who belongs to the press club will join to the conference. However, like usually, like the journalist not only for writing for the scandals, I think.
Oh no, yeah. Some Shukans are for scandals and
Uh-huh.
uh others are kind of like news sources. But I was trying
Yeah.
to talk like other than the traditional newspapers, do they have maybe different types of reporters that maybe we might not have like in the US? And
Ah,
I think that weekly is kind of a unique one to Japan.
okay. Like a
The
Bunshun.
yeah, I think like Bunshin like that.
Ah, okay, that kind of scandal magazine reporters. Okay, I got it. So yeah,
I think there's some weekly ones that are not just scandal only.
yeah, not
But
scandal.
yeah. So I guess my question was, can those type of journalists also join press clubs? Or is it only the major newspapers? Or is it only newspapers?
There is journalists came from the TV broadcast and then some like specialized newspapers. However, I don't hear any journalist coming from these scandal magazines, also like web online newspapers. So I don't know what is the criteria to join the press club, but yeah, usually there is only the journalists from TV and newspapers, and then yeah, those two are main, I think.
Gotcha. Okay. And so next, let's kind of dive into like a PR strategy and execution. But what would you say are some key components of a successful PR strategy in Japan?
So I think there's a two like elements, and then one is the localization, and then the second is strategic actions. And of these, localization is the most important thing because as I said earlier, so if that any news or topics are not localized, even in language and then even in the topic fit to the Japanese market, the media never will interested in the topic.
Now, I've seen some foreign companies, they'll translate something to PR Times and
Mm-hmm.
nothing happens as expected.
Yes.
It just sounds so Western.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's one thing that startups do. They launch a PR Times, but yeah, usually it doesn't work. There are success cases, but it's less about announcing your product, but just I think it's one if you do like a kind of an announcement to the media through like a press release in Japan, you really have to focus on why this is unique to Japan.
True, that's true. That's the biggest point. So many foreign company will only translate it to Japanese. So that's not enough. So we need to tell them the importance of the localization and not only translation.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think Redhill probably helped 500 Global with their press releases, but those press releases announcing the new program, but also mentioning some of the former successes I think 500 Global did have with Japan, which I think was Paidy
Pretty, yeah, yes.
and maybe I can't remember, maybe Smart HR.
True, yes, that's the one. Yeah.
I think those are the two humongous cases.
Yeah, that's really good.
Like, have you seen any bad cases of localization or like bad
Ah,
PR attempts by foreign firms?
yes, I will not say any like name of company, but there's a lot. There's a lot. So even like we told them not only translation would not work for the Japanese market, but like I can understand. So like some company would like to control the messages, even it's in the other languages. So they cannot adjust the content into the local market because like headquarters would like to handle all the things. And then if like every market can adjust the content to the each local market, then the headquarters cannot like keep brand images and then they cannot you know like handle all the things. So I can understand the point of like headquarters like ideas. However, like because of the reasons so many company cannot change any other like any points on the press release and then we just translate it and then like no coverages can like earn from the activity.
Gotcha. Now I can see that happening.
Yes,
Yeah,
true.
and I think it's good. Yeah, you also acknowledge the other point. They want to have one system.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
They
true.
want they want operational efficiency, so they try to have one system. And it's similar for software companies as well, where they companies that I've kind of mentored entering the Japanese market, where sometimes they would come in other country in their home country, this feature of their software
Mhm.
is what, let's say, is what all the customers want. But then they come to Japan and realize actually it's this, maybe the third feature or fourth feature is actually the number one feature for Japan.
That's a good point. Yes, true. Because like any environment and like even population and then the characteristics of the like people are different in each market. So we should like listen to the local person's like opinion and then we should adapt it to the like client's products and even PR like strategy.
So yeah, and I think that applies in majority of situations. I think some exceptions might be, or at least in the, let's say, the market entry case, like Notion or
Notion.
Slack or Mira, like they haven't changed their product for the Japanese market.
Oh, is it?
No, it's the same thing.
Same thing,
Like
right?
they haven't, I mean, they had to mainly just translate it. They haven't had to like fully localize or create a completely unique product. They use the same, but in their case, one, I would say software that has like a wide use range, like Notion. There's so much you can customize yourself.
True.
Slack, so much you can do by yourself. So if it is a product-led growth service where there's a lot of variety, it often is where you don't have to do much localization. And I'll include Mondays and possibly Asana in the same boat.
Definitely. Yeah.
So it's yeah, so I guess kind of the point is depending on your product and how it's used, it's local, let's say heavy localization might be needed.
Hmm. Yes. Depends on the products.
And so yeah, you kind of need to do your market research beforehand. But in general, like the default answer is because in most cases, localization is the best thing to do.
Yes.
And I think that Kit Kat was a good example.
Mm-hmm.
And also IKEA as well.
Yes, true. The Kit Kat case, like that idea never happened in other countries because it was based in Japanese word. So yeah, listen to Japanese opinion and then adapt it the peer ideas. So that makes the cases successful.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Scaling Japan. In addition to serving as your fine host, I also provide advisory and coaching services to business owners who want to 2x, 5x, and even 10x their business. So stop holding your company and your team and your employees back and let me help you and your company scale. Find more information at scalingyourcompany.com. Now back to the episode. And do you have any other thoughts on kind of tailoring your message to the Japanese audience? Like, like in terms of like localization?
Yeah. Even like we are doing translation, it is like extremely important to like reconcile details, Japanese and English nuances. So even only one words. So there's so many types of Japanese are there. So like today we can use like DeepL and any other like translation tools, and then like it's very easy to translate it all words. However, like um I strongly recommend the clients to have a local members and then check it that all the words before sending it out, because like even like the small like differences, the nuance of differences like in that sentence, then like the image of the product totally changing depends on like which word we use. So not only translation, like we need to like check, we need to have a step to like native person to check before that everything's goes out.
Yeah, like I think one example that often face is kodomo,
子供。
child. So do you do it in hiragana,
Uh-huh.
katakana,
Sure.
kanji, or kanji and hiragana?
Mm-hmm.
So in our case, for SEO, we do it in kanji,
Mm-hmm.
and I think kanji and hiragana. But sometimes if you want to make it sound cool, you use katakana for kodomo,
Mm-hmm.
or like kind of
Sure.
future. And if it's very educational, you might use a double kanji combination for kodomo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. For kanji, it would be the kanji hiragana is the ko would be in kanji and the domo would be in hiragana.
Yes, yes, yes. 子供. Right.
Yeah, rather than but if it's a report, you'd use kodomo both in kanji, typically.
Yes.
So that's an example from my end. All right. It sounds funny, but sometimes I help Japanese companies
Mhm.
with Japanese copywriting.
Yeah, that's true. Like even this, kodomo's like cases, you know very well, right?
Yeah, it's one of my hobbies. I do help Japanese companies with Japanese catchphrase.
Wow, you're
Uh,
totally Japanese.
it's
Great.
but yeah, it is a fun job. And I guess next is how I guess what is the role or importance of influencers or and celebrity endorsements for PR in Japan? I guess as a foreign brand.
Yeah. Of course, this is will vary depending on the products and the character of the influencer. But I believe there's two main types. And first, I believe are the majors that use top tier influencers and celebrity can reach the wide range of people of various generations regarding Zhang and such are suited to brand that have a broad target audience and deal with mass market products. I believe that this is a similar approach, although the generations that can be approached are not lower than TV commercials. And on the other hand, nano, micro, or macro influencers often have areas of expertise, fashion or music or animation or etc. So therefore, I believe that for products that are sharp and have a core fan base, so collaborating with the such people will enable the clients to implement measures that have high engagement, even through the population is small.
I think ultimately I think they failed, but Food Panda using I forgot her name, Naomi
Naomi Watanabe,
Nave, yeah, that was a great choice. Like she was a great ambassador that targets the general population.
true, she's
Uh,
like the best example.
I think their timing for entering the Japanese market was bad, but their PR campaign seemed pretty good.
Yes, I
Uh,
think yeah, even like you and I can immediately can remember she was the ambassador of that brand. So that means a successful.
in my experience, I think a lot of the let's say what you would do for like influencer and celebrity endorsements in the US, I think the same applies for Japan. It's just the difference is the PR agency will probably know who's the right person
Mm,
for your product. So
yeah.
that was one case for her. I guess for fashion brands, high-end fashion brands now they're using a lot of influencers now.
True.
Influencers who are known for wearing foreign luxury goods.
Hmm.
So foreign luxury goods using influencers who focus on foreign luxury goods. So I think that still works. Any thoughts regarding event planning and management specific to Japan that might be interesting for the listeners?
Yes. If you're planning an event in Japan, I recommend that you plan everything as per in advance as possible. So this is because it tends to be more difficult to change plans on the day of the event than the other countries is. So the serious nature of the Japanese people may also have influence, but it is best to consider that the media and other people have a very strict attitude towards event that not to go on according to the schedule. So,
For me, is
oh,
there any
yeah.
kind of unique points in terms of like customer service?
Customer service while we are having an event.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I don't know this is only for Japanese market, but if the client is a B2C, we usually have a gift to the consumers who attended the event because as we talked earlier, so social media has so the influence of getting bigger. So we'll create that gift or souvenir of the brand and then like with something like for example good like cute cookies or so cute any like tumblers everything that
Uh,
thing that consumer would like to post on the social media so we usually created like items and then give them and then let them post on the social media.
Oh no, that is very interesting.
Mm.
And so maybe one more for like I guess event planning and management. Is there anything else, and even things that just might seem normal to you?
Oh, that's the goal.
Because
Um,
I think the souvenir one might, I mean, I think they do it overseas, but I think there's a unique Japanese way, possibly. Like they might give cookies where they normally don't serve cookies.
mhm.
And you're like the only person who has cookies for this brand.
Yes, yes, yes.
That
They
would
don't
be,
sell.
yeah, that would be, I think that variation might be a unique Japanese one.
The relationship between a client and journalist are a bit formal than the other countries, I think. So we also sometimes have a like party with the media. However, like um we usually do the only press conference. Like we don't have any like lunch sessions or like dinner sessions with that.
Mm,
However, I heard from the other who member, they say they having a lunch session after the press event to like have building a good relationship with them. So,
gotcha.
yeah, that's not that sometimes happen, but not every time, I think.
And yes, I guess for our last topic for today, I wanted to talk more about working with a PR agency.
Mhm.
But this is a general question, but could you kind of give us an overview of what does a PR agency actually do?
Yes, in Japan, advertising like agencies and PR agency are often housed in separated companies. So PR agency often help mainly with the public relations, especially like external public relations. So it means like external communication with the media. However, like depending on the company, like we sometimes also help internal PR, which is like communication between the top executive and then the worker at the company. So we usually help the mainly like communication with the media and then communication with the any employees internal.
Cool. And I think also like in terms of like let's say if we were to do like an event,
Mhm.
like how does PR agency typically help with that?
Yes, that is including as external public relations. So, we can help with the development of the like strategy of the press conference, and then also not only for the having the press conference, like if is there like a timing of the product launch, we will have a like media advertorial and then media event, a press conference, and then after that, like we might have a different any other opportunity. So from that, like planning, we can support, of course, and then especially in press conference, like this is a small thing that we can also can book the venue for press event. We can like write the Q&A. Also we can like, develop the slides for the presentation on the press conference. So everything we can help and support.
Cool. Let's say in terms of media or getting in the media, how does a PR agency help for that?
Yes, for the media, we usually have a relationship with some like mainstream media and also on industry media. So, depends on the topic of the announcement. We can reach out to the journalist to attend the event press conference, and um, sometimes the clients already have a relationship with the media. So in that case, we will divide our target media, and then we will like approach to the new media. Like for example, like if the clients would like to have coverage on the Nikkei, and however the clients doesn't have any relationship with Nikkei, then like we can search for it, and then we can reach out to the appropriate journalist, and then we can say like, oh hey, would like are you interested in this like industry, and then there is a company, or we can like explain, and then we can ask them to attend the event, and then we can develop a new relationship with the client.
Yeah, and could you also tell like maybe from the strategic angle, like from start to finish?
You mean the press conference?
No, for like PR agency, maybe in terms of getting their name recognition more well known. I guess,
Okay.
do you also help with marketing research and strategy? Of course, strategy, yes, but does the agency also help with marketing research?
Yes, we can help with the research. However, we support on the like coverage researching, not the consumer. Like we sometimes do, but we not always do the consumer interview, or like taking a like questionnaire to the consumers. We will check the coverages of the companies and then competitors one, and we will like check how many coverages has been published in top tier media in last year. Of course, we can support the research too. However, like we don't do the usual marketing research. We do the research from like media perspective. So we will research the coverages, which is articles online and newspaper, and then sometimes TV, everything. And we will search the articles regarding the competitors and then the companies. Then like we will compare like how like which is better, and then like in which field that we can like reinforce, and or like which point are better than the other competitors or something like that, and then we can support the research phases too.
Okay, no, that's very interesting. I'm glad I asked about that angle of market research, but yeah, you do market research from a yeah, just PR perspective,
Yes,
or just let's say the coverage in media,
coverage in media.
and then I guess maybe not too often, but maybe surveys of how well known the company is.
Yes, do.
And I guess my last question would be, do you see any emerging trends in Japanese PR in 2023 and 2024?
Yes. It is difficult to say, but it seems that in past 5 years alone, the scope of what PR agency can do has been like expanding. And when mass media such as TV, newspapers, and magazines were strong, the most important role of PR firm like was to gain organic exposure in such mass media. However, like in recent years, so many peer agencies are now required not only to help companies establish relationship with the media, but also like to build relationship with various stakeholders, like consumers and like media, of course, and shareholders, and then global environment sometimes. So like we say like as a result, like the approaches that companies take to PR seems to be like become more very diverse and sometimes like complex.
Cool. Yeah, and I can see it's a changing environment. Cool. No, thank you very much for that. And yeah, so I think in the show notes we'll put a link to Momoka's LinkedIn profile
Mhm.
and also for Redhill as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to teach us a little bit more about PR in Japan.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.